Hello and welcome to Careers Express webcast. I'm Elizabeth, an associate of the Cyprus Mail, and we're going to focus on the current situation of the job market following the pandemic disruptions and what to anticipate more moving towards the recovery. Joining me today is Katerina Andreou. Katerina is the founder of HR Innovate Recruitment. Welcome, Katerina.
Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. So we can start with the lockdown, the first lockdown, and the pandemic. How did the pandemic impact on the job market?
Well, I mean, basically, if we go back to March 2020, when we had the first lockdown, essentially it seized the whole market. And it was as if everybody went into shock collectively as a community, candidates, clients. It was horrendous, quite frankly. The beginning of it was very destabilizing for everybody. So what we saw was a lot of panic, what I call panic firing, where companies began to be very concerned about what was to come. So they wanted to cut costs quickly, and they started to let people go. So the job market became a very unsettled, very volatile, stormy environment where people, that had been in their positions perhaps decades even, were let go. Mm-hmm. So suddenly there was this indiscriminate pool of people that entered the job market. So whether you were older, younger, Greek-speaking, non-Greek-speaking, whatever sector, everybody suddenly was in it together. So there was this collective panic and upset, and the unemployment figures started to go up, and we saw all the difficulties that companies and the government were facing to figure out how we were going to continue with the workforce, and so many of us being at home. So that was the first hit, and that lasted for quite some time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so from the shock, how did the job market recover?
What we saw, and continues today, is this, it's kind of like being in stormy seas on the ocean. So we have periods of calm, which are very unsettling, because calm sometimes means zero movement, which is never good for the economy or the job market. So suddenly you'll have days where there isn't much movement, either from candidates or clients, and the job market seems very quiet. And then it flips into action. And basically, since I would say May last year, as we started to come to the end of the first lockdown, people started to consciously digest, accept, and understand, because there was this almost a grieving process of what we were now going to have to experience and learn to live with, both at work and at home, as employers and employees. So there was this collective sigh as we entered this new phase. And people started to recognize that they needed to move. Whatever happens, we've got to get our heads around this. We have to live, we have to work. And they realized quickly that the economy was never going to reboot if we didn't all get together and start making moves. So people did start hiring. HR departments started to function, budgets and payroll, everything started to churn. And this new influx of candidates on the market began to consciously, actively search for roles. So we had this up and down movement, which continues today, where it's kind of, busy and then quieter and then busy. Some sectors firing on all cylinders, other sectors being quite stagnant. And I'm happy to say that we're on the up, and it's continued. For definitely the start to 21 has been really reassuring.
Okay, so we can say that the job market is holding strong despite the initial shock.
Yes.
So some sectors and industries are hiring and hiring.
Furiously.
Yes, good. All right.
Yeah.
So which sectors or industries are actively hiring?
Well, it's really interesting. There was one sector in particular, actually I would say two sectors in particular, that never seemed to pause. They were largely unaffected in terms of the job market by the pandemic, and they remain so. And that is the tech industry.
Okay.
Literally zero change there. The candidates and employers in those sectors were and are already very used to seamless working, remote working options. They have the technology at hand. They were light years ahead of the rest of us in any sector. So they were acclimatized even as the pandemic first got started. So that industry, because there has been a shortage of tech talent globally, it never stopped. So we were recruiting for tech talent the entire way through. We remain inundated with vacancies for that industry, and that's fintech, maritime tech, health tech, you name it. And then the other one is finance. So when you look at Forex, for example, or more recently funds, and definitely tax and audit, we saw very little change. Those sectors just continued. They may have gone through small blips in the beginning where they were, slightly less busy than usual, but they've continued regardless. And there is still a huge demand in those sectors today.
Right. Tax and audit has always been strong for the last many years, decades, we can say. What's really new is the tech industry and also the Forex, the financial and that. Okay, so we do have some industries actively hiring.
Yes.
And what are the positions? So of course, tech industries are hiring tech, they're looking at technical skills mainly. What about the other industries? Can you talk a little bit about what skills these companies, hiring companies, are looking at?
Well, basically what we've seen across all these sectors, FX, finance, tax, audit, and tech, is there's been a move to hire more junior candidates, new grads even, and mid-level.
Okay.
So we're getting less demand for C-level executives, and they're investing more in young talent. Now, COVID hit companies hard. So in an effort to keep payroll lower, cash flow situations healthier, it made sense to hire a labor force that was slightly cheaper in terms of payroll costs, but you could also invest. So we've seen a move towards junior and mid-levels. And unfortunately, it meant there were a lot of senior level people that were let go, I guess, Q2 and Q3 in 2020. And they've started to, now that side of recruitment in terms of the executive levels have started to move again. So we've had this reassuring movement across junior, mid, and senior, but there remains this emphasis. So in the tech world, we're constantly looking for programmers. So most of our clients are looking for .NET developers or Java programmers or whatever the case, and they're happy to look now at new grads, juniors, and up to mid-level. The same in tax and audit or any of those related sectors. We're constantly now looking for accounts personnel, bookkeepers. They tend to, in those sectors, need a little bit of experience. So we're not so much in the junior end there, but definitely your mid-level candidate who's got 3+ years experience. There are a lot of roles now in back office, AML, KYC, any of those related support functions. What we're seeing is more support functions, less high-level management, but lots of support functions. It's very interesting how that's come on.
Okay. Especially with the tech roles, is talent available? The companies are, is there a pool of talent available for hiring for these companies?
Unfortunately, not enough. So basically what we have globally, it's not just Cyprus, is a shortage of tech talent. So we have a lot of computer science graduates, but what we need are people that are almost compulsive, talented programmers. They program for fun, they program as hobbies, they program for work. So we have a shortage of female tech programmers, and we have a shortage of tech programmers across the world anyway. And in Cyprus, we have this really unique situation because of the nature of the island and all the perks of running a business here and the lower operating costs and us having double tax treaties and such things. We are actually the focus now for a lot of international, huge companies that are going to set up tech hubs in Cyprus. And this has already happened. We have quite a few here. We have more coming. And these are big international entities that are going to bring so much investment and positives to our economy. I can't stress that enough. I think it's wonderful for Cyprus. And they're going to need tech talent. So we're telling all our university students, if you don't know what to study, be a programmer. You will never be out of work.
Okay, good. That's promising. So, all right. So we can see that there is a lot of prospect.
Yes.
So what should we anticipate within the next few months, or maybe a year until the end of the year? How is the job market going to recover from the pandemic disruptions, and what should we expect?
I think I remain very optimistic because we've started on such a high this year in terms of the types of hirings and the way employers have rebounded together to try and infuse the economy with new energy and recovery actions. So I do think that now that we have the vaccine being rolled out, confidence by the consumer, confidence by employers and employees in the future of, ending the pandemic. And Cyprus has coped so well in comparison to some other countries, and as such a small island, we have done so well in coping with the pandemic. So I think that level of consumer confidence and market confidence means that we're going to go strength to strength. And I think the way we've managed to attract the attention of these larger tech industries and bigger players from other economies, and they're coming here to establish their hubs, I think it will continue in other sectors. I think this new move to stimulate the funds sector, to attract all this new global interest in Cyprus, is going to pivot us and will be on more of an upswing than we have been. So I think this is going to be, it's what I've been saying to our team here is last year was survival. We survived here. Now this year is going to be recovery, and then we're all going to be scaling up. And I think that's what we'll see. 21, 22 is going to be key as we wrap our heads and finish with the pandemic. We adjust and they will start to open borders. Travel will begin again, because we're a key destination for business, and that won't change, pandemic or not. We've learned to adjust, and as an island, we're so resilient. So I have absolutely no doubt that we're going to just continue on that trajectory.
Right. Good. So it is really positive that we're going to have possibly positions, especially for the tech industry, a lot of tech companies coming here. You already mentioned the challenge with finding a pool of talent in especially the tech industry. So how is that challenge, or the companies are going to be able to find a pool of talent then when the demand will increase?
Well, luckily, the byproduct of this issue and this challenge has meant that employers had to get very creative very quickly. So luckily, they've started to invest in younger talent and train. So if you can't find a programmer who's already developed and ready, they're taking your young computer science graduates and they're offering them amazing opportunities to train.
Okay.
So that's one way.
Reskilling, basically?
Yes, reskilling, yeah, and they're doing that a lot, which is fantastic, obviously, for our new junior candidates and young graduates entering the scene, because they're obviously the future of things. So, and also the tech industry, because of the nature of the skills it requires, but also the way that they are very process oriented and very creative with their solutions. They have also realized that this remote working option, the way we work now, it doesn't matter where you are. You can be anywhere as long as you're online and hooked up. It doesn't really matter. So they can have a tech hub in Cyprus, but in Cyprus, you can be working for Holland. You can be working for the US. You can be working for Japan. It doesn't matter, because it's all digital and online.
Right.
So that's going to also offer a lot of creativity and different types of work environments, which will be virtual.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so now you brought the reskilling topic up. We did have a panel discussion that we're also going to air, and the topic was about reskilling, upskilling of professionals, as well as new talents.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move towards the end of our interview today. And what is that you would like to highlight as far as the job market, or even for the job seekers for 2021?
Yeah. I think I would, the one key theme that will resound, I think, for many years to come because of the pandemic and many other things, is if you aren't online, if you are nervous about digital transformations in general, if you are a bit anxious and hesitant about putting yourself online, you have to get over it, and quickly. If you are entering the job market or you're on the job market, it's regardless of gender or age or sector, you have to get online. And that was the case pre-COVID anyway, and we were telling people this before COVID, but now it's absolutely essential. You won't be able to get away with it. And it's a real shame, because the market actually has some amazing talent out there that is yet to get online. So for anybody entering the job market or out there, you need to get online.
Good. Yeah. Okay. All right. So thank you very much for joining us, Katerina. I'm sure Careers Express and also Cyprus Mail readers and, will be finding this interview interesting, especially if they are in the job market and they're looking for jobs. So thank you very much for also the tips and also the insights about the current situation of the job market in Cyprus.
Happy to help.
Thank you.
Thank you.